So I want to talk about how you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe the community anything. You don't owe your family anything. You have every right to cut everything off or just give space in order to get to love yourself, your true self. I just keep hearing, and that's just, I guess, how it's going to be. That's just how it's going to be, and that's fine because that's where they are. But this talk of sticking together, we need to come together. You know, first thing that needs to happen, and I don't know if this conversation, I don't know if anybody will ever talk about this. But people need to know where they are. They're in assimilation. First of all, wake up to where you are. Wake up to where this is. I'm going to talk about this movie called Get Out. I finally realized what the sunken place is. And you know, in the movie, I guess the way it was intended is to make it seem like it was just a black man dating a white woman. And he's in a sunken place because he's with a white woman. And I knew when I watched that movie, that is not the message. That's just not the message. Because they kept showing all these different white people who were bidding on different bodies and stuff like that. So let me just say this. I'm going to just say everything. And some of it, I might not be 100%, but I'm not. If I'm incorrect about something, it's not out of malice. It's because I'm still putting pieces together. That's it. And I don't care about being wrong, because when I find out the truth, I'm going to come back and correct it. I'm never concerned about being wrong about something, because I realize that I have been a false person this whole time. My whole life has been a lie, so I'm not going to worry about being wrong about something. Anyway. And when I say my whole life has been a lie, I'm not talking about, because your parents lied. No. Like, my real body is somewhere else, and I'm basically a clone. Tyrone was not the only one they cloned. That's what that sunken place is all about. My real body is somewhere else in a higher dimension. And basically, I don't know what happened to cause us to get to this place. Like, we've literally reached the lowest part of our mind. Let me just say mind. Reached the lowest part of my subconscious mind. Well, I'm totally a different person, a completely different identity than my real self. Like, my real self looks completely different. Let me just explain how I really look in the real world. In the real world, it's on a much higher vibration, a much higher dimension. It does not have a moon. It doesn't even get dark. It, like, if you can picture how it looks like about 8 o'clock at night in the summertime, when it's like it's time to get dark, but it's not. That's about as dark as it gets. I've never seen it get dark. I've never seen the moon. It's like, I don't see a moon in the real world. It doesn't get dark like it does like what that we see here. But anyway, that's because I'm grounded back into my real world. I'm able to see these things. The grass is a lot greener. It just looks better. There's no bugs. I don't see bugs. Anyway, it's like something happened. I need to get to where this all started, but I don't want to go crazy over it. But I need to get to where this whole thing started. And I'm going to get to this whole thing about we need to stick together. No, don't worry about nobody else. Leave other people alone. Worry about yourself. But I don't know if people would ever get there to say that, no, I need to get out the fucking sunken place. They're trying to stick together, but they don't know they're in the sunken place. They don't know it. A certain group of people probably keep dying. Some things keep happening to a certain group of people. It's because they've been in this sunken place a little too long, and it's time to rise back up. It's unfortunate that I don't think I would ever hear that. Even if people know it, for some reason it's not a popular conversation. I don't want to pay attention to anything I learned in this life. Whatever you learn in this life, if it was in school, school would just taught you to stay in reverse, to keep the false matrix going. There were some twins, I believe they're called the Borgendorf twins, had a different look, bone structures look different, and people questioned that they come from another world because of the way their bone structures look, especially as they got older. But they were trying to tell people that the way they were learning things, especially physics, it was all wrong, it was all backwards. So that let me know they come from a world that there's more truth. Anyway, I said to say that I don't want to hold on to anything I learned in this reverse type of life, in this reverse world. I don't want to hold on to anything that I learned in school, nothing. I literally need to, meditate and just ground back into my real life, into my real world and the real things I learned. I saw an equation for time. And then I saw an equation for time in the real world. I mean, everything is so false. I don't care how smart you think you are, how much calculus you think you know in this world. Whatever you learn in school in this world, especially under this system, it's just not what you're supposed to know. So I don't pay attention to it. I've said this before, but nobody else will say it, and I don't have a popular channel. People are about to become robots. They're not about to become robots. They're already robots. You better wake up before you can't wake up. Well, I can't say you better wake up. I don't know what causes people to wake up. What made me wake up is some stuff that I've been through. It's almost like you have to go through something. But people have gone through things already, so I don't know what it's going to take. And the stuff I've been through was nonstop for almost 2 years. Nonstop for almost 2 years, to the point where that I finally realized, you know how you want to remove deception and get more truth, or all this deception going around and I want more truth. I realized I've been the freaking deception the whole time. My whole life, my whole being, my whole identity is a fucking deception. Everything about me is a deception. I'm a completely false person. I'm a false soul. Everything is false. I am the deception. I am the deception. So if I'm holding on to a false identity because something happened where in the real world, oh yeah, I meant to tell you how I look. I'm biracial. I look mixed. My father, the way he looked was almost like what you would call Italian. In this world, it would be what you would call Italian in this reverse world, because in the real world, I don't know what they would be called. I believe I speak Spanish because my father looks, But, I saw what my brother looked like. I saw what some of my friends look like. I haven't seen what my sister looked like yet. And so the mother is a brown lady, okay? She's a brown woman. It's because I'm mixed. So the father, I look totally different. I look a brown woman. I have, in this world, in this simulation, I have 2 brown parents. I'm not mixed. Now, I feel like the way you look is what your subconscious wanted. And I feel like here it is. In the real world, something happened in the real world. Something happened along the lines where the real me got cheated on. I was married and I was cheated on. And there's no colorism. There's no, this stuff about this. You see in this simulation where dark-skinned women are hated and all that stuff. That's not what's going on up there. Or down there. And I will tell you what I mean by down there. But I saw the woman that my husband cheated with, and she looked brown skinned, and I feel like I look brown today in this reverse world, in this simulation. I'm brown skinned because it's almost like subconsciously that's what the real me probably wanted to look like, and this is how I ended up right here as an ego like the ego created the way this person, this clone look right now, a brown skinned woman. But anyway, I didn't know I would go that far. I'm really getting impatient, and the reason why I'm getting impatient is because I feel like something has to happen major to cause people to get so sick of this life that they don't want to hold on to any part of this false self. Because trust me, it's a false, it's an ego, it's a fake self. It's fake. People are like, well, the ego protects you. Well, ego is a false person, and you don't want to go further down the rabbit hole because you're in the rabbit hole. You're in a rabbit hole. And so I don't need to be going further down the rabbit hole with stuff that's going on with other things. Like, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole because I've already been in one. I've already been in one. You know, get out is about getting out the sunken place. Where I am right now as this false person is basically a clone. It's the sunken place. This is the sunken place. Now, I already seen it. This is the sunken place. I look nothing like my real self anymore. That's how far I've gone to the point where I look like somebody completely different. And in order for me to get back to myself, I have to get to a level of enlightenment. Like, I have to reach a level of enlightenment. I live in a different house. I have a different type of vocation. I sing. Okay, I'm a performer. I'm actually well known. And so I've been trying to ground back, but I've been working on what caused me to be here. What caused this sunken place? What caused it? What caused it? And I've done a lot of things, and I've been working on that because I don't want this to happen again. This needs to end right now. This needs to end. It's time to get back into the real world, into my real body. But the way I get back to the real body is to let this person go. This false person. Everything, I'm looking at my body. I'm looking at where I'm sitting. Everything is fake. It's fake. It's a projection. It's a projection that was created by the ego of my real self. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, in Total Recall, when he was in Mars, he went to this place called Total Recall to get like 2 weeks worth of implants so he can really believe that he was in Mars. And basically, that's what when you feel like your life is real, that's basically what it is: plants, implants, edits, all that stuff. That you think all this stuff is happening in your life, but it's like computer stuff. And he never left. The movie went off and he never left. So what if he dies? Well, okay, so he lived to be an old age with the woman that he chose to be with before he got the implants, and the lady that he chose in Mars that he really feel like is his real girlfriend because everything was so real. Okay, so what if he grows old and then he dies? Okay, then he's going to be born again and born again and born again in his false life. Born again and born again and born again. And then to him, thousands of years have passed by in this false life. And he will eventually get to the point that he might look totally different. He might look like something else than what he was in the beginning. Now, him looking like something else than he would have in the beginning might not be might not be because he wasn't happy with himself. I'm just saying, I wonder if that was the case for me. I believe in the first time loop and stuff when I was kind of came down, I looked like myself, and then after a while I started looking different. And I got further and further and further deep into the subconscious, lower and lower and lower. That's why things seem so crazy. It seems like you're in hell and all that stuff. We're deeper and deeper in our own subconscious mind. So this is the sunken place. This is the sunken place. And so it's just, you know, when I hear people say we got to come together, you know, especially brown women say we got to come together, we really got to come together. Well, what you really need to do is get out the sunken place, because it's time for a lot of people to rise up. And if they don't rise up now, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's not meant to work out. It's not meant to work out. Like, you get to a point where you keep saying, oh, we got to come together. Listen, it's not meant to work out. It's not meant to work out. Some people will get triggered at that. I don't care, because folks say things I don't like, and I just keep it moving. I keep it moving. I hear a lot of things. I hear people say things I don't agree with. I keep it moving. But I'm going to tell you, it's not meant to work out. If it has not worked out by now, you can't. But we could, you know, I'm so annoyed with hearing that because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, you're going to get into your ego and say, yes, yeah, I want it to happen. I'm going to make sure it happens. Okay, well, you deep in your ego, and your ego is making you feel like you're going to do something that's going to make something happen that's not meant to happen. It's meant to get out the sunken place. That's what's meant to happen. What's meant to happen is to get out of the sunken place. And this is the sunken place. Stop trying to unite in the sunken place. You can't unite because you're too low in consciousness. You need to rise higher. You need to rise higher. I would say raise your vibration. You need to rise higher in enlightenment. Get to know yourself. I don't want to make anything work with anybody else before I accept myself, before I make it work with myself, before I get more into who I really am, ground more into my real reality. I ain't trying to make nothing work with nobody else. What kind of mess is that? But that's what people don't really realize that. So I'm not trying to blame them, because that's not where they are. That's not where they are. It's not going to work in this low level of consciousness where people are and said we need to come together. Oh no, it can't work like that. It's not going to work. And let me tell you something. When you've gotten this low in consciousness, that means you've got a lot of attachments on you. You have a lot of attachments on you. You can't be this low in consciousness and think that you are an organic being. You're not. You're no longer real. I'm not even real. I am not real. I'm not real. So if I know I'm not real, I'm not gonna try to make it bond with somebody else who ain't real. Because the other person who ain't real, they might not be ready to wake up. Their soul ain't ready to wake up. They're gonna stay exactly where they are. Why would I want to bond with that? That's only gonna hold me back. No, it's not going to work. Like, it's not going to work. You're not going to come together. It's not going to work. It's not meant to work out. You're not meant to just come together and stay in this realm and just come together. You are meant to rise up. Many people have supposed to have been what you call ascended or awakened. You should be a lot higher in consciousness than a lot of brown women are. And trying to make it work at this level of consciousness, it ain't ever going to work. You're too low. You're too low. I mean, you have some very low vibrational entities that have already attached to a lot of brown women, because that's what happens when you're deep in the ego. That's what happens. Entities attached to you. It's just the way it is. Now, why is it? So what is really playing you? I look in the mirror, I see a brown woman. Who's really there? Because sometimes I see white women. Sometimes I see white women. When I think I'm looking at a brown woman, get out. And I leave it there. Get out. When I look at other brown women, they think they look like a brown woman and they all pro-black or whatever. What do I see? A white woman. I see a white lady. You get this low in your ego, this deep in your ego, and you think you still who you supposed, you think you who you originally were. Somebody else got your identity. Get out. That's that movie. That's the movie. They use our identity. We think we brown people. It's a white woman. It's a white lady. I don't care how strange I sound. You better listen to this 20, 25 million, 50, 11 times. I don't don't care how crazy I sound. Keep listening to this shit till it makes sense to you. You're white. No, just stop. That's what the fucking movie's about. I'm gonna get an 80s camera and just take a picture with that flash and take a picture of my face. So I can wake up, because that's how he took the picture, and it looked like an old little camera with the flash. And damn it, that's what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm going on the Goodwill online. There's a store that has a lot of 80s stuff in it next to this ramen noodle place I love. And it's a place that got a lot of 80s stuff in it. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love the 80s. And no wonder I love the 80s. Number one, I was born in the late 70s, but in my real world, it's the 80s. It's not the 80s. Like, that's not the year, but the whole, everything, the dress, the music, everything is the 80s. The whole look is 80s. Even though the year is different, it's 19 something, but it's not 1980s. Not like how it's been in the how we saw it in the reverse world. It's not 1980 something, but it looks like the 80s. I'm gonna go to that little 80s place, and I'm gonna get one of those old cameras with the flash from the 80s. I hope they have it, because like, they sell a bunch of candy. But I'm gonna see if they got those old cameras. And if not, I'm pretty sure I can order it online. And I'm going to take a picture of myself and then look into my eyes. I don't know. I want to get out of this so bad. Like, anyway, day by day, because if I come to this level of awakening, it's just, I can keep being patient. Just be patient. Be patient. I haven't sunken so low that I did die. I did stop breathing. That's how low I got, and I had to rise back up because I saw my real body lying like it was about to die. It did die. And I was like, oh my goodness, wake back up. Shoot. And so, I had to acknowledge, every day I have to acknowledge myself. I have to acknowledge my real self. I have to know who my real self is. I have to allow my real self. Keep it going. Can't just keep running as an ego. It's like you're getting so low in consciousness that your real body, your real self is dying off, because you're so low in consciousness, split as all these egos in these different timelines too. In these different timelines, because in the different timeline, you got another name. So that, like, the mind was completely fragmented. It's almost time to go. But listen. I remember somebody saying, I heard Bobby Hemmett say it, but he's not the only one to say it. It's a certain group of people, their time was up a long time ago. Their time was up a long time ago. So who has been using the identity of a lot of brown people? Who has been using their identity? Because their time was up a long time ago. Because you got to know, if you follow this far into your ego, this far into your subconscious, something else has attached to you. They were supposed to be gone. And the reason why they want to make sure, the brown people don't have to oblige though. The reason why they want to make sure and keep bombarding brown people with all this stuff, the Carly Russell, this stuff that happened with the Shanquilla, all these police brutality, I don't know, some other girl that's supposed to be killed, Carly, no, whatever her name is. I'm not keeping up with it. Because when you keep lying, I don't keep up with it. I don't care if it's a brown woman. I don't care if it's a brown male. I don't keep up with it when I know you're just full of crap. But they keep bombarding. They did the Montgomery thing. They keep bombarding people, brown people, especially in the United States of America. But I'm not paying attention to the news worldwide anyway. And I'm not paying attention to the news here, but I just know what happened because people upload videos. But they keep bombarding one thing after the other. They will not let brown people breathe. It's one thing after the other. They gotta keep your consciousness low. And they give the brown people who don't talk about shit the biggest platforms. They gotta keep your consciousness low, because these mother effers, was supposed to expire a long time ago. And they keep you low in consciousness. You stay low in consciousness. You think you're a brown person. That is a white person using you. I've already seen it. I've seen a white woman. That was me. When I think I'm looking at a brown woman in the mirror. They're using. You think you're looking at a brown woman. That's how. When you rise back in consciousness, they ask go. Now let me say. I'm about to run out of time. I'm not talking about everybody who is supposedly white, because you really don't know who you're looking at. There's a lot of people who might look white that's actually brown. That's actually authentic brown people because you're in a reverse world. Okay, so let me just say that it's not every person that looks white. It's not them. It's not all of them. But there's a certain group that their time was up a long time ago. And somehow brown people, their consciousness have gotten so low that they have been able to attach to them and use them to continue going. And so when brown people think they're brown people, they're actually not brown people. I mean, they look like the Skeleton Key, that movie called The Skeleton Key, and this movie called Get Out. It's the same thing. That's it. I'm about to run out of time because I didn't make enough space on my tablet, so I'm running out of time. So that's it, and I'll talk later.